Hi everybody, this video will be a tutorial on how to install MOTDPlayer package and custom communication port package on the source dedicated server and how to install their Linux counterparts for WebSockets to work. First of all, I'd like to mention that this particular video will use Debian inside of VMware Workstation Player 12. In case you, for example, rent a VDS server, you can skip the first part of this video and proceed to the installation of the web server. But for now, we'll start with installation of Debian. I've got this Debian 8.7 downloaded already. Then we launch VMware Workstation Player. We create a new virtual machine. Click Browse. Download Debian. Next, let's call it MOTDPlayer Debian. Well, I've got already had one for my internal tests, but this I will call MOTDPlayer Debian 2. Next. Here we must click Customize Hardware and dedicate a local IP address, an IP address in your local network to this virtual machine. For this, I need to click Bridged Network Connection. That's all. Close. Finish. We will proceed with text installation. I will not use graphical install. If in case VMware Workstation Player asks you to install VMware tools for Linux, we just close it because we won't use them. I wanted everything to look like as if you work with a remote Linux server, for example, so a remote tunneled connection. We press Enter. In case you want to focus out of the virtual machine, I remind you that you have to press Ctrl and Alt, and you got your mouse out of the virtual machine. But well, we chose English, United States, American English. The installation process will be quite a long process actually, because it's a network installation. It means that all the stuff necessary for Debian it will download from the internet. I will use MOTD as a host name, empty line as a domain name. Root password. I will enter 1234. Please remember your root password if you are also installing the Debian in your virtual environment. Now we have to verify it. Full name for the new user, MOTD. Username for your account, MOTD. Password for the new user, also 1234. Of course, in the production environment, you have to choose something more reasonable. And we re-enter it to verify. Enter. Basically, everything we have to do to change in the installation process is to cancel installation of the desktop environment. all files in one partition. Finish partition. This step you have to click yes, because if you click no, you'll get back to the previous step. Now we have to select the mirror that will be used. I don't pause, I just select United States ftp.yes.debian.org. We don't have or need any HTTP proxy, so we just press enter. Now it asks us if we want to supply the developers with some anonymous statistics. Of course not. Now, it's very important to uncheck the Debian desktop environment and the print server. We just don't need them. So, to uncheck, you have to press spacebar. If you actually press enter, you'll just install them and proceed to the next step. So we just accurately press spacebar here and here. Now we can press enter. It asks us if we want to install a grub loader. Of course you want to, because it's a virtual machine and basically it's the only operating system that will be run on it. Yes, we select dev SDA. It says that Debian installation complete. Now we have to press continue and press Ctrl Alt and click I finished installing. And we can boot in our Debian. Now we have to, first off, we have to log into as, we can log in as our MOTD user. And then do su to switch to root. Then we have to, first of all, we have to install sudo, because without it we won't be able to temporarily perform some administrative actions as a super user. So we type in apt-get install sudo. You also have to add your MOTD user to the sudo group. So we have to type add user MOTD sudo. Now we have to also alter the sudo config and add our MOTD user there too. We just opened a terminal text editor, and all we have to do is below the root entry we have to add MOTD entry. All. To save the file we just press Ctrl O, enter, then Ctrl X to exit. Okay, now we can log out of the root user. We type in exit and press enter. Then we update the lists of the software. Type in the root password again. Wait for it to update. Okay, it updated. So now we will install package necessary to build and basically build Python, because Debian comes with some ancient version of Python, and we will need to download and build it ourselves. Of course, all of these commands are to be found in the description of this video. Okay, now we have to download the sources of Python. I type in this link FTP-Python. The latest Python version for now is 3.6.1. Okay, it has downloaded. Now we unpack it. Then we have to jump into the folder. It has unpacked its files too. And run configure. I got to say that Python building also takes quite a lot of time. We run make. Okay, so it actually compiled. Now we have to install it. We just have to jump out of this directory. Then we will install an FTP service, FTP server. Our choice will be Pro FTP Daemon. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes. It will ask us the way it will run in the system. We'll choose the first option. All configuration that we will have to do is to disable IP version 6 support. Actually, I don't know why we do this, but this daemon, FTP daemon, actually recommends to disable it on IP version 4 systems. So why not? I personally don't need IP version 6, so we navigate here and type in off. Now we have to write out the file and exit. Now we have to restart our FTP server. And we also have to know the IP address of this virtual machine. For this, we type in IP header, and you can see here our IP address. It's an IP address that was dedicated to this virtual machine by my home router. It ends with 211. We will remember it and launch FileZilla. we type in the IP address of this virtual machine. As the username, we use our Linux username, password also our Linux password, and click connect. Here we are in our system. Okay, we will need it later. Then we will install web server, Flask, Flask SQL, Alchemy, and basically that's all. But before that, we will make sure we install it in a virtual environment of Python virtual environment. And for that, we have to install the virtual environment itself. Okay, what dir are we in? Okay, that's it. We make dir Flask. Jump into it. Create a new virtual environment in it. We'll call it vnth. And this virtual Python environment will have everything installed inside of it. And for example, you can have multiple virtual Python environments in one system, and one virtual environment will have Python 2, another one Python 3, and all the packages, all the Python packages will have different versions. They won't conflict. They won't be global relative to your system. Then we activate this virtual environment by typing source.Python bin activate. And you can see that before our username there's a venv prefix now. Now we install all the things necessary, like Flask, SQL Alchemy, Now we will install uWSGI. uWSGI is a Python web server gateway interface. It's meant to be an interface between Python and a web server. In our development case, we will use this interface as the web server. We won't install, for example, Apache or Nginx. We will just use uWSGI to serve the web as well. Okay, we have everything installed. Now we create a new file called settings.py in this dir, and we edit it. Two things we have to add here. First one is SQL Alchemy database URI. It's a path, or like a path that will be used by SQL Alchemy to determine which database driver, which user, etc. we will use. We will use SQLite. For that we type in SQLite and 4 slashes, then pass to our database file. The next setting will be a secret key that will be used by Flask. Just put anything random here, and that will do it. Okay, press Ctrl O, confirm, and Ctrl X to exit. For now, that's basically it with virtual environment. Okay, now we will proceed to our source dedicated server. First things first, we download MOTDPlayer package. I assume that you have already installed the source dedicated server. In this case, we will use CSGO dedicated server. And of course, you will have to also install Source.Python by yourself. I will not cover it in this tutorial. We will go to this link in my GitHub repo. We press clone or download and download zip. Save it. Then we can just click on my username and repositories and download SP-CCP package. We'll also need it. Okay, now we have everything downloaded. We open both of them. We'll start with installing custom communication port package. So there are 3 folders. Examples, we don't need it. External and source dedicated server. First of all, we will install source dedicated server files, then we will install external files. So we just drag and drop add-ons folder in our CSGO folder. Then we open MOTDPlayer 2. And there are also 3 folders. We open source dedicated server folder and drop add-ons folder again. Now we need to configure it. Open add-ons, Source.Python, data, custom, CCP. There is a config. We edit it with Notepad. And what basically this means? As a host, you can type in 0.0.0.0. You don't have to change port unless you run multiple dedicated servers. In the whitelist, now, it's very important that you add IP address of the virtual machine into this whitelist. Otherwise, the virtual machine won't be allowed to connect to your source dedicated server. So, as we remember its IP address, we type in it. And basically, that's all with custom communication port configuration. Now we go to MOTDPlayer configuration and open its config. I say that we don't actually configure it at all. Everything things. Of course we actually do have. We have to type in the IP, the host and the port of the web server. So I will just type in my local IP address of the virtual system, but if you run it in production, this will be IP or domain name of your web server. Also, the port we will run our web server, uWSGI web server, is 8080, and you have to copy this into here as well. That seems about right. We save this config. Actually, I might have put my public IP in here and just redirect this port in the settings of my router, but I won't do that. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, then we will upload the external, not external, but this and these folders here to our virtual machine. So we go in, we open FileZilla. We have connected to our virtual machine before. We open Flask, and where is it? From the SP-MOTDPlayer zip, we just upload the contents on Flask folder. Okay, it says that something went wrong. We will try it again. And okay, as you can see, the first file transfer has failed because of 7-zip. Because 7-zip for some reason removed its temporary folder before FileZilla actually managed to upload the files. In case this happens to you, you can just extract files to your folder somewhere else, like in the downloads folder. Extract these files. And then upload these files from the folder, not directly from 7-zip, because that seems to be buggy sometimes. Okay, we have done everything we need to do with SP-MOTDPlayer archive. Now we will upload CCP folder from external folder in the CCP zip. To avoid further file transfers, I will just first extract this folder, and only then I upload it. Okay, now we have to configure MOTDPlayer and CCP in the virtual environment. Or we open MOTDPlayer data config, and you either first download it to your computer, edit it and upload back, or you can click View Edit. To edit this correctly, I recommend using Notepad++. We click Edit Settings, File Type Associations, and make sure you have the ini and JSON files associated with Notepad++. Also, I recommend to make such associations with PY files, JS files, and CSS files. Okay, so now we edit it. And I say that we don't need to edit it. We have to edit another file called servers.json. That's the IP address of your source dedicated server. It's not IP address of your virtual machine. Oh, in case you run both web server and source dedicated server on one system, you can leave it just as the local IP address. But I run on different systems. One system is my Windows 10, another one is Debian. And to successfully for them to successfully connect to each other, I have to enter here the IP address on my source dedicated server. I remember it by heart. You can just, I guess, press, in case you also run Windows, run this command in your command line, and you will see all your IP addresses. For example, I used this one, the IP address that my router dedicated to my source dedicated server. Okay, so we save it. After we save it, we will have to upload it back. Fortunately, FileZilla asks us automatically to upload it back to the virtual machine. Now we will have to generate so-called server salt. It's required for MOTDPlayer to know which server issued a MOTD page. Also, it's used for authorization in MOTDPlayer. So it's essential step. We open MOTD zip, MOTDPlayer zip. Examples, example 2. Then we just open the dedicated server folder and put the add-ons folder in here. Now to generate the server salt, we launch our source dedicated server, and after it loaded, we load this example that we just uploaded to our server. So we type SP plugin load MOTD example 2. Okay, now we may shut our server down. We go to add-ons, Source.Python, data, custom, MOTDPlayer. There's a file called server secret salt.dat. We open FileZilla, and I actually done this step before, but my Bandicam crashed. So we just upload this file to our server, web server in the secret server salts folder, and rename the file to look like my server 01. That's all with the configuration. Now we have to launch the web server. You just type in the following line: uWSGI master HTTP and the port that it will run on, and then you type HTTP WebSockets to turn the WebSocket support on. Then you specify the WSGI file. It's always application.py, and specify the virtual environment. As you remember, we called it VMWare. And last but not least, you have to specify the asynchronous and synchronous engine that uWSGI will use. And we press enter. Okay, we are inside of CSGO. We connect to our server. And the example number 2 that we used, it provides a chat command that it will be enough for us to check if everything works in WebSocket support. So we type, if I remember correctly, example 2 page, and you can see that everything works. You can see that when somebody kills somebody, there's a message that pop-ups in this text area, and we can check if this works in opposite direction. We can type something in this text area and click send, and you should see your message appear in the game chat. That's basically... Okay, we disconnect so you can hear me. That's basically everything. That's enough, and I guess you can reproduce my steps and install the MOTDPlayer package as well. It's not that hard actually, and if you ever have any questions, you can just contact me on my Steam account. I am basically most of the time I'm online. So if you have any questions, just hit me up, and thanks for watching.